Same thing that happened last time.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us today on Resolving Racism. Oh my goodness. And once again, Kahinde's tags got deleted, so she is trying to fix her tags.
Yeah. So if you're on Kahinde's page, that means they can't see.
It's not. She's not live right now. It stopped working.
I'm learning. Thank you all for joining us again for another quick little comment on resolving racism. Sister Sistah Kujichagulia here.
Taiwo Kujichagulia Seitu.
Face.
And Kahinde Seltzer, who's trying to fix her tag on Facebook right now.
And Sassafras, get your face in here, sweetie. My granddaughter, she might get a few comments.
She might get a couple words, and we'll see.
So this is June 29th, and you know that this weekend a lot of people will be celebrating the 4th of July. Even though a lot of people don't even know what that holiday represents, so we're going to speak on that a little bit today. The 4th of July is America's celebration of independence from colonization from Britain. So this is when 13 colonized locations in the Western Hemisphere fought off the British and united to become one United States of America. 1776, enslavement capitalism is raging at its peak. America is very comfortable with enslaving African people. America is very comfortable with trafficking human beings from the continent and enslaving them in the United States during independence. 1776. American government is very comfortable with continuing its war against the indigenous people. The war against the indigenous people lasts 300 years and 300 million indigenous people are slaughtered so that the United States can get wealthy. So I, for one, do not celebrate the 4th of July because it would be celebrating the enslavement of my ancestors. Can't do that. It would be celebrating the war against my ancestors and all the other indigenous peoples of the United States. I can't do that. So the indigenous people of this country deserve more, and I really feel a lot of times because there's two holidays that are celebrated here that celebrate the genocide and annihilation of indigenous peoples, Thanksgiving and the 4th of July. So it's going to be interesting to see because America, because it is psychotic, will never admit that it's racist. So of course this 4th of July, in spite of COVID-19, is going to be a major celebration for America to pretend it's still a country of every Hippocratic lie that it tells: liberty, justice, freedom,
right, all that,
and all the above.
So, if you're joining us on Kahinde's page, hello, good day. What say you?
Kahinde is just upset because something's going on with her phone. That's
all her tags
shutting
disappeared.
off.
Yeah, all the tags disappeared on her page. So we're starting a little later on Kahinde's page. So I'm Taiwo Kujichagulia Seitu. This is our wonderful mother, Sister Kujichagulia. This is my wonderfully irritated sister right now, but she's going to move out of that irritation in the mighty name of Jesus. Hallelujah. We are casting out that spirit of irritation. Yes. This is Kahinde Salter. This is my youngest daughter, Sassafras Rose Awoye, who's joining us today.
And as you can see, even though we are talking about something as intense as racism, children have no problem dealing with it because guess what? They are victims of it every day. May as well teach them about it.
Early on, you may as well.
Tell everybody.
Zion's in the background doing weird things as usual.
Her daughter.
Her oldest daughter. Yeah, as usual.
And as you know, I don't know what's going on in other states, but here in California, they have said, the superintendent has said that there will be face-to-face education going on in August, which is kind of scary. I don't know what that's going to look like, because it's impossible to distance in the hallways or the bathrooms of a school.
Or anywhere else.
Yeah, so
And in classrooms where we are overcrowded because
Anyway.
we literally do not have enough space to socially distance students and have class sizes of like, I don't know, 10, 12. Like,
Right.
that's not a thing in OUSD.
And in schools where we already don't have stuff like, I don't know, soap.
Toilet paper, paper towels.
yes, going to be interesting. But in addition to that, the two strangest comments that have come out about the public education is the fact that I heard him say, Tony Thurman, is that they want a curriculum on race. Wrong as wrong can be.
Yeah.
No, we don't need or want a curriculum on race.
No.
There is no such thing as race.
We don't
There's
want to reinforce
No.
that imaginary concept of race. We do not want to
no
do that.
more divide and conquer. There's one race, the human race. We don't need a curriculum on race.
Wait, stop.
We need a curriculum. We don't need a curriculum on race.
Yes.
Race is not the problem.
Right.
Racism
Is the problem.
And let me make it very clear. Let's say there's a flood, and we're all drowning in the flood. Should we have a conversation on water, or should we have a conversation about flooding? Again, let's look at it another way. People like to say, "Oh, I didn't get the job because I was a woman." No, being a woman is not the problem.
Yeah.
Sexism is the problem. Being gay is not the problem. Being homophobic is the problem. Being poor is a capitalist condition, but the problem is capitalism, not
Right.
the people who were poor.
Right.
We want to look at the people who are homeless as if they're the problem, but we don't look at what caused homelessness.
Right.
Capitalism. So let's not look at race, because race did not cause racism.
Right.
Psychosis caused racism. So we don't need a class on race. We need a class on racism. And most people don't even know what racism is. And America continues to obfuscate, confuse the situation. They want to talk about systemic racism. Well, did that define racism for you? No, because you don't define a word by using the word.
It's a system. Racism
Racism is a system.
So we can't say system.
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
That's like saying wet water. That's insane. It is a system of white psychopathy. Racism is institutionalized white psychopathy. Okay, now we have racism. I gotta take a drink of water now. So somebody else.
And because people are confused, that's why we have all these people that don't know what to do.
That's
Because
right.
can you fix a problem that you cannot identify?
No.
No, you cannot. You can't fix a problem if you don't know where the problem lies
Thank you.
or exactly what it is, which is why I say, if people get irritated, they have pain in their body. That pain is just letting you know
There's a
that
problem.
there's something wrong in that part of your body at the time. And then you have to go figure out what that problem is when you feel that pain, right? So everything that's happening in society now, there's a lot of people who are in pain. We're dealing with this problem that is racism. Okay, now that we know what the pain is, we feel the pain, we've identified that the problem is racism, not race, not these conversations, right? Now that we know that, that's how we can then go about solving the problem. But you can't even solve a problem that you don't know exists, which is why there's a lot of people going, I don't know what to do. Let's have these conversations. Let's just talk about it. Where do we go from here? You don't know where to go if you don't even know what the problem is.
That's right. What's the first thing they had to do with COVID-19? Study it inside and out. Why?
Right.
So you can eliminate it.
Yep.
But you notice America does not do that. America makes sure we don't study it because America wants to continue racism. America has no desire to eliminate racism. If it did, we wouldn't have seen all the protests we've seen in the past few weeks.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have seen all those righteous revolutionaries out there with their righteous indignation over the injustice of racism. So we are very clear, and we are hopeful. And we are doing everything we can with books like mine, Recognizing and Resolving the Roots of Racism, and all of the books that you can find, games that I am developing, so that we focus on the problem, not the symptom.
Yes, we
Okay.
can't focus on symptoms.
Stop focusing on the symptoms, because looking at the symptoms will never erase the problem. That's why the book is entitled Recognizing and Resolving the Roots of racism. Because if we look at every racist problem we can think of will be here forever.
Yeah.
Think of that as a tree.
Right.
And every leaf on that tree is a symptom of racism. Every branch on that tree is one of the branches of society: economics, education, entertainment, family, labor, law, politics, religion, science, war. And on each of those branches, there's billions of leaves, billions of issues. But what if I cut the root of that tree? What if I dig up that root and get rid of it? Guess what?
No more tree.
No more tree, no more racism, no more racist symptoms.
That's right.
So we focus on the root. Let's eliminate the problem. We won't have any more symptoms.
And we want to be clear. We don't want people to think, a lot of people have the misconception that racism has always existed.
Oh God.
That as long as there has been human beings on earth, racism has existed. And that is the furthest thing from the truth. Speaking of the curriculum that Tony Thurman was talking about, he was saying now that ethnic studies is going to be taught in schools. However, ethnic studies doesn't go back far enough, because if you can leave an ethnic studies class and really have no idea of pre-colonization for all the peoples of the world, you haven't studied ethnic studies.
Yes.
So, and that's the reason why people feel like racism has always existed. No one goes before the 1400s. When you study the world before the 1400s, before the Spanish started going around,
and the British and the
Portuguese started going around carving up the entire world, before that happened, racism did not exist. So if people went to war, okay, you may have gone to war with a neighboring country. It wasn't because you were racist. It wasn't because there was a system of white psychopathy in place.
No.
It was because they were your neighbor, and you just may have some funk with them, whatever. But racism did not exist. So people have to understand that racism has only literally existed past 500 years or so, and that's a drop in the bucket compared to human existence on this earth.
And remember, Homo sapiens, modern humans have been here 150,000 years. 150,000 years, never touched in the school books, never touched in the miseducation system.
Nope.
What was going on before the psychopathy of racism was developed? You will find, if you do some research, that the majority of gods around the planet were black people, were the ones who were revered and honored around the world. This is something that we're going to save for the workshops and conferences that are going to come along later, because there's so much information. It's amazing how much information the miseducation system refuses to give us. But remember, humans have been here, Homo sapiens, which we are, 150,000 years. Civilization has been on Earth since Africans started in Africa over 50,000 years. 50,000 years. Universities, math, science, physics, literature, engineering, all created in Africa. No such thing as racism. White and black, those concepts did not exist.
They never existed.
They did not exist until the 15th century, 1400s, and there's a reason it came along at that time. We're going to go into that later. However, we've had hundreds of thousands of years without racism.
That's right.
Let's get to that. Let's not go back to normal America, normal racism, normal sexism, normal homelessness. We don't ever want to go back to normal ever again in this country, because this country was built on racism, sexism, ageism, classism. We don't ever want to go backwards. We want to move forwards with no racism. We want to move forwards. And the thing that we need to do, because the superintendent said we need a curriculum on race. No, we don't. We need a curriculum of truth.
That's right.
What if we just told the truth?
Just tell the truth
about history. That would eliminate the myth of white supremacy. It would eliminate white psychopathy. And once you eliminate those things, then the institutions of the world would not be inundated with white psychopathy. You'd eliminate racism automatically.
And here's the thing. You don't need to create a special course to tell the truth.
No.
You tell it whenever something comes up, and I'm going to give
you... Like all the lies in the book?
Right. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. So, in my former life, before I was disillusioned teaching at OUSD, no, let me stop. I love all my babies in OUSD, but there are some systematic issues within the district so there's that. Okay, but in my former life, when I was a full-time music teacher, and I loved it. I loved it. I taught music full time,
Phenomenal.
kindergarten
Both
through
phenomenal.
8th grade, and my first and second grade babies, third grade babies were learning how to read music, all of that stuff, right? So one day we're listening to, and I would have them do music listening. So one day I was playing something in class, I can't remember, and I would ask them to identify the genre of music that we were listening to. So it's either classical, jazz, hip hop, whatever, rock and roll, whatever, R&B, so gospel, whatever. So they had to listen and identify it based on the instrumentation, what they're hearing, whether or not it was polyrhythmic, because that gives you clues. Usually the polyrhythmic stuff has the African influences. So I'm teaching them all of that stuff, right? So they're listening to something, and they said, oh, we think this is, and they couldn't come up with the term for it. And I said, that's because the terminology is bad. It's bad terminology. And they're like, what do you mean, Mrs. Sage? So I said, well, it's technically called Latin jazz. I said, but that really doesn't tell you anything about this type of music we're listening to or the history of where the music came from. So before we could even discuss the music itself, I said, so first we got to break down this term Latin jazz. And they said, well, what is it? Is the language Latin? And I was like, no.
Yep.
I said, actually, this music comes from, it has roots in like Central America, South America, but really the rhythms come from Africa. So then they were very confused. So then I had to break down why parts of Central and South America are known as the Latin world, or all of that. And so in order to do that, I had to break down colonization.
Yep.
I had to backtrack and in 10 minutes give a very brief history of the world so that these children could understand why this style of music was misnamed the way that it was. Now, did I have to take an entire curriculum? Were they taking a course on colonization? No. But in order to explain to them why this music was mislabeled and misnamed Latin jazz, I had to backtrack about the history of why this whole part of the world was misnamed in the way it was. And once I did that, it made sense to them. And these were second graders. It doesn't take rocket science. It does not take a genius to tell the truth. All you have to do is
know
tell
the
it.
truth, but you
gotta
have to know it first.
And then you have to tell it, because children are very intelligent. They're more intelligent than people give them credit for. So once you know the truth, you can be honest and tell the truth. But we can dismantle all of these lies by just being honest and telling the truth and telling our real history on earth.
And speaking of telling the truth, two things, right? Because you got all these people, tear down the statues, no more Confederate flag, we don't want any of these racist symbols. Hey guys,
Auschwitz.
let's just leave them there.
Auschwitz.
And let's just put a plaque or a sign. This symbol stands for this.
Racism.
This is what happened in this country.
This reminds us of this history here
acknowledges
that we're not going to erase.
Right.
Validates.
This acknowledges what happened on these shores
That's right.
to these groups of
That's
people.
right.
There's no sense in tearing it down. So
Label it correctly.
That's
this
right. Be
generation
honest
comes
about it.
Just tell the truth.
when this generation comes up, there can be more lies.
That's
This
right.
one right here, there can be more lies going. There's never been racism. Do you see anything?
That's
racist?
right.
Do you see it?
Erase the evidence.
Don't erase the
you
history.
save the evidence.
Don't erase the history.
And what do you do in court? You label the evidence.
Call it out.
You be honest
Label.
about it.
Why did the people, the non-Aryans who were caught up in Nazi Germany, why did they not want Auschwitz torn down? So that people never forget what
That's
happened.
right.
Yes.
Never forget.
You have to never forget what happened to you. And a lot of people have been taught wrongly, like most are in America, that Jew is some type of race. It's not.
It's a religion.
You could be any color on earth and be Jewish. That's a religion. However, we have come to this crazy idea that only Jews were hurt in the Nazi
World War II.
World War II. Well, even if there were 4 to 6 million non-Aryans, I'm non-Aryan.
Right.
Valeda Snow, one of the greatest trumpet players ever, got caught up over there. A lot of jazz musicians. Even if 6 million, 4 million were hurt, and we keep hearing, never forget, never forget. What about the 100 million Africans that were killed for enslavement capitalism? What about the 300 million indigenous lives who were taken because of colonization?
On whose land we're on right now.
Right now. 100 million Africans' lives stolen. 300 million, and people are going to celebrate this Saturday for the independence of this country, which massacred and annihilated and perpetuate and continues to perpetuate genocide against people. The truth of American history has never been told. It is not told in the school
It's
books.
not told.
The truth of European history has not been told. It is. I don't care if you get a PhD. Racism will never teach you the truth of racism. So that's why it is up to all of us to make sure we go out on our own and do our own reading.
Educate yourself.
Travel and do your own research.
Right.
And you will learn all the lies that racism has put in us and is putting in every baby every day. We get rid of these racist lies, that's how you get rid of racism. Let me give you one example. We've all learned that Indians scalped cowboys. Total lie. Scalping was a system invented by the United States government, a system of annihilation and genocide against the indigenous population of the Western Hemisphere. The government paid Caucasian immigrants 5 cents for every scalp of an indigenous person that they would mail in to the United States government. The government paid $5 for every decapitated head of every indigenous person. So a lot of people are talking about, I'm a self-made millionaire. No, you aren't. A lot of colonists became millionaires by annihilating indigenous people or by enslaving African people or both.
And if you look at the history of the indigenous people of Australia, the way they did them was so terrible.
Horrifically
literally
wicked.
Digging them in holes so that only their heads were showing and then kicking their heads off of their bodies. Like, it's that when you really know the history.
When you talk about decapitation, now after that head was off, they would shove the head on a pole and have all these poles sticking up out of the ground just to put fear in everybody else that looked like that head that was on that pole. That's the history of this country.
That's the history of colonization, of
around the world.
European
Right.
colonization around the world. It is wicked, it is evil, it is savage, it's barbaric, and guess what? They have taught us all to think that about everybody except the true barbarians.
They've taught us all that these are our founding fathers.
Founding racist criminals.
And not the truth about it. So be honest. Be
Let's
honest.
just tell the
Let's
truth.
just tell the truth. Tell the truth about how the country was founded. Don't necessarily go on a rampage to tear down all the history, because then you have generations coming up who think, oh, racism was never a thing and everything's always been all right. No, that's not the truth.
Not at all.
Be honest about the truth so that we don't ever repeat that and fall back into that pattern of inhumanity and brutality.
And for everybody, I hope you're listening, Superintendent, thinking about starting any ethnic studies courses, any other courses, the 2 words that must not ever be printed or used ever again is the word slave and the word master. So don't think that now you're just going to tell a whole lot of slave stories.
Right.
Because there are no slaves.
That's right.
There are enslaved human beings. Stop using the word slave.
And they're enslavers.
It is only invented to dehumanize African people. There were never any slaves in Africa. There were never any slaves transported from Africa. There were human beings, decent, wonderful human beings who were transported and enslaved by who? Enslavers. Stop calling the enslaver master. So don't write one worksheet, 1 page about any SLAVE ever, because that just further erodes the pride, self-respect, and dignity of everybody in that class that is not white.
Right.
And it further reinforces the myth of white supremacy. Don't do it.
Yeah, especially if you're in a room and
very upset.
You're looking at a so-called ethnic studies curriculum. You're the only brown child in there, and you got to read the word slave 28 times in a reading assignment. So subconsciously, you're being taught that your only history is a history of slavery?
Not at all.
No.
And let's look at it this way. When the people who came here, the Europeans that came here, they were not the people who were wealthy. Would you leave your wealthy place to go to an unknown place to dig out your own meager existence and fight? No, you wouldn't. It was the people who were let out of the prisons in Europe because the prisons were overcrowded. The majority of people that came here were convicts, criminals.
Oh, yeah.
They were inmates. Go Google, do whatever you want. These criminals that came here are never called. How many times have you said the criminals? Never. How many times have you said
criminals?
How long have you said the incarcerated people? Never.
Nope.
The crooks? Never. When racism has given language.
Yes.
Settlers.
Right.
Pilgrims.
Yes.
No, there were no settlers. There were no pilgrims. There were invaders. They were rapists. They were enslavers. They were criminals. And that's why they had no problem with the criminal behavior of killing, annihilating, raping, incarcerating. America has never been a democracy. It has never been about justice. It has always been about greed, capitalism, individualism,
terrorism,
violence, terrorism. That's how this country was built. That's how it is sustained to this day. And that's what those revolutionaries have been protesting, tired of the terrorism.
Yes. Okay, so if you are looking on things that you can do to change our reality, because we have the power.
Hello.
The people have always had the power.
Always.
It's never been in terms of, who are the lawmakers. It's always been people power. So yes, us, we the people, us.
Even little people this size.
Even little people.
Who?
We all have the power. So here are some very concrete things you can do to change your reality. Imaginate it. So, know your history. Know
Number
that.
one.
Buy this book. I don't know if you guys remember the show.
What was that show?
It used to come on after the Simpsons.
After The Simpsons.
Buy my book.
The critic.
The critic. That cartoon critic.
Oh my God.
I don't know how many people remember that show, but in one episode,
That
he
one episode,
he
had a thing.
No, he had that little animatronic thing of himself, and he was holding up his book, and he was like, buy my book. Over and over again. I still remember that. That was hilarious. So,
Sorry, Robbie.
no, but honestly, this book, recognizing and resolving the roots of racism
by Sistah Kujichagulia.
You really have to read this book. It breaks down the 10 areas of society that racism exists in. Not only does it do that, there's a chronology that literally starts at 3.5 million BCE.
And a little before.
And a little before that, the birth of human beings.
Evolution of the world before racism. We have all that. And not only that, this child is
reading it.
This book.
So is Cameron.
She's reading it.
So I don't think this is about adults doing something. This is about everybody doing something. We need to get this information in the babies.
Yes.
Because the police won't think shooting her twice.
Nope.
And I have to really clarify myself at this point right here. Okay, this brings up another topic. I personally do not have a problem with the police. I have a problem with racism.
Exactly.
Every police officer is not a brutal beast. Do not stereotype them, because don't you hate it when people stereotype you?
Hello.
Every woman is a whore. No. Every black person is a criminal.
No.
Every black male's in a gang. No. Every police officer's a thug.
No.
Don't generalize. Just because we've been in America so long, don't pick up all the horrible habits.
Yeah, no blanket statements.
No blanket statements. Think. We have to constantly be thinking. Don't listen, accept, regurgitate,
and
defend.
Mm-hmm.
The problem, again, is racism. Let me give you an example, because sometimes we have to take it all the way to the extreme to get the point across. So, what do you think about these two options? Get rid of every police officer, keep racism. Or, get rid of racism,
Right.
keep the police. Which should we do? See, when you know the problem is racism, then we can stop being distracted by things that keep us from eliminating racism.
And let's go further. So we eliminate the police. Now we have trained people pissed off with us, who are now going to go to the first white supremacist organization they can find, and now it's a
to
field
support
day,
them.
open season on the brown people. Why would we do that?
And don't forget all the gun shows that they have no problem stopping. They have arsenals.
Look,
white supremacists have arsenal. Our only arsenal is our mouth and our brain.
That's it.
If we don't get that show,
We've been to them.
We've been
to gun show.
we know the people who are going. We've seen it. They're buying whole missiles.
Yeah.
They're buying
Rounds,
so many rounds of ammunition.
I don't even know why you would need to buy a missile as a civilian.
Exactly.
But when I tell you their
It's
purposes,
on sale.
and let me not make blatant statements
It's
about
on
the
sale.
people at the gun shows, because some of those persons are absolutely lovely.
That's
and
true.
we had great conversations
Yes,
with them.
we did.
However, it was terrifying.
That's
it was
right.
terrifying. And what you can purchase at a gun and weapon show.
Yeah.
Because we're clear, everybody white is not a white supremacist.
Oh, we're very clear on that.
Everybody white is not a white racist. We have to stop making these blanket statements of stereotypical generalizations about people. That's the problem. We have to learn to respect people where they are. Then you look at people's behavior. Because the enemy is not a color. That's the grandchildren in there doing
Wrestling on something.
Zion, put that in the dryer, please. Excuse us.
Leave it alone.
Okay. So the enemy is not a color. The enemy is a mentality. You can't see the enemy. That's why they're called con artists. They're good at faking.
That's right.
Coming across looking like they're
They
good.
look real good.
But they're horrible people. And what's the woman in the government, KK Kalin? What's her name?
I don't
The
know.
spokesperson that, okay, we won't even go there. Anyway, don't stereotype. The problem is racism, not race.
Right.
Sexism, not women.
Yeah.
Classism, not how much money you have or things you own. That's not the problem. We have to stay focused on the root of the problem. That's the only way we're going to eliminate it.
So, educate yourselves.
Buy a
Look,
book.
buy
Buy
the
this
book.
book. Buy as many books as possible.
It's literally 115 pages long, and that includes the chronology. I know it. I did the math. I was looking at how many pages we need to read a week to get through it in a month.
And you can
So-
read it. I've known people to read it in a day because it's
Oh, yeah.
written so easily because I want babies to read it.
On purpose.
I want everybody to read it. I'm not trying to be an academic, erudite where no one can understand it because I'm trying to get a PhD.
Yeah, I
Could
hate
care
those.
less. I've already got 360 degrees. Don't need that.
Oh,
I want
say
people
that,
to
Mommy.
understand.
Yes.
We need people who are thinking. We need critical thinkers. We need people who are using logic at all times because racism wins because we don't think.
That's
Hello.
right. And I want to point out there's an organization I just came across, and it's at civic engagement for people who are wanting to unify across party lines. We have if you're looking at humane beings,
Yeah.
we have way more in common than we don't.
Oh, I was going to bring that
We
up.
have
Thank
way
you.
more in common.
Thank
So look,
you.
if you're a parent, I don't care where you are on earth, we know the challenges of being up late with babies.
Yeah.
There are way more things that we have in common than we don't. So there is an organization called, I believe it's called Represent.us. And I will put it in the comments. But I love that this organization is unifying across party
Yes,
lines,
yes.
and their whole goal is making sure that the people who are elected to actually represent us represent us. That's their whole goal. There are Democrats, Republicans, everybody from all walks of life working together, and it's in a what's the word I'm looking for?
Humanistic,
Bipartisan.
communal.
I don't know, ground, what's it called? Ground?
Groundbreaking?
No, Jesus
We'll move on.
Christ. I can't think of the word right now. But grassroots.
Grassroots.
It's at the grassroots level. It's
Grassroots
literally
level.
human beings volunteering their time, texting people, saying, here's an initiative that we're trying to get passed. This is this, this is this. And they have a history of passing. If you just go to their website, they're very successful in what they do, and it's because they're engaging people, and they're not playing the, oh, you're a Democrat, oh, you're a Republican, oh, you're with the Peace and Freedom Party, you're with the Green Party. They're not doing the divide and conquer BS. So it's called Represent.us. I already signed up. It's a very easy way to get involved. It's whatever initiatives they have in your area, because they're nationwide. Whatever initiatives they have in your area, you can find out about, sign into. It might just be as simple as signing and sharing a petition, but they are working, and it's at the grassroots level, and that's a very easy way to get involved.
So we want to, before we close, we're trying to make sure that, we are making these 30 minutes spots. Want to tell you about all the things that are coming up that my phenomenal daughters have invented.
I'm an inventor.
So we will be they have really just, they've set my schedule for the rest of my life.
We have.
It's a thing.
It is a thing. My mommy is too brilliant to not let everybody know about it.
And to not share her wisdom.
Because I would just be at home on my laptop working.
She would.
If I could just, they had to bring me here, as always.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, Mom, there's this thing. It's called live feeds. You need to be in one. Or several.
So they have initiated and established weekly, we're going to do this Facebook weekly. Every Sunday, it's going to be, when it starts regularly, every Sunday from 3 to 3:30.
Starting on the 12th.
Facebook.
On July 12th. We're moving it over to Facebook Watch. I am
Facebook
working
Watch.
on the page right now.
Currently,
Yeah, as we speak.
In the meantime, we will have a conference on racism coming up on the 17th and 18th, correct?
Yes.
Friday and a Saturday, because the Sunday is the show. So there will be a 2-day conference that I will be holding. We will be facilitating that. 2 hours, 2 days, get in-depth information.
2 hours per day, so
2 hours
4 hours
per
total.
day.
Yeah.
And in addition to that, then we will start the
book club. There's going to be a book club. Now, how many of you have ever been in a book club with the author?
With the
where
author.
you can ask the author questions. You can now. Boom. Because I can answer. Yes.
So you see what they got? They got me in a book club. They got me doing conferences.
Wait, but for the
they got me
educators-
here doing this thing.
Yes, in my house so that we can hold her captive.
You see how they always have me in there? Because I would get out.
Yeah,
I let her
we
go.
have her in the middle.
And
for a
if you're an
reason.
educator, then there's a more in-depth series where you can actually really learn a lot, and it's a course. So where if you want to go and actually teach this
And do
somewhere
this work.
and do this work
Please.
of resolving racism, and we need a lot of people
right.
to do the work.
Who really know what they're
know what
doing.
they're talking about, know what they're doing.
Yes. Not to perpetuate racism. We need people who are destroying it.
Yeah, so for if you're one of those persons, everything
need
we're
you.
launching on the 12th, all that information is going to be on our Facebook Watch page. But we need as many of you to commit to doing this work as possible, even if you're like, hey, Kahinde, I don't have time for all of that. Hey, guys, you do have a family. You know, at some point, you're going to see your family. Even the people who don't like to deal with their family sees their family at some point. So at some point, you see your family. If they say something, then something comes out of their mouth. You're like, that was an atrocious statement. Let me just talk to you about this thing that I just learned.
Right.
It's just that simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah,
Super
it's
simple.
so simple. When you see an elephant in the room, just call it out.
Because what's going to happen if you don't call out the elephant, Mommy?
We're going to be covered in shit. Shit, elephant. Have you seen a pile of elephant crap? Come on. We're stepping in it every day because we don't call out that elephant in the room. Call out that elephant.
Call out the elephant. That's
So
right.
we are
Look at the
calling
comments.
out that elephant every day. That's what we do. I'm working on ways in which we can be better human beings.
Sassy wants to look at comments.
It's a lot of comments.
Okay, and better ways that we can be on the planet as one hue, H-U-E, color, H-U-E, one human race.
Yes, one human race, one humane race.
One humane race. So my granddaughter's over there and Kahinde over there looking at comments. And how much time we have left? About.
Watching. This is just that
I
people
know
are
you're timing
watching.
us. And remember, we're here having fun. Because even though this is a really serious subject, you only have one life to live.
That's right. So don't live in
Yeah, why
grief
would you
and-
want to live it in
sadness
fear
and fear.
and disgust with being oppressed by racism when you can live your life enjoying your life because you know that you are making the world a better place?
That's right. The joy of the Lord is our strength.
Yes.
And when you're walking in your purpose, there's no reason not to be joyful.
That's right.
Hallelujah.
And I have been working on my purpose since I was 10 years old. 50 years. The minute I started learning truth, you couldn't keep me away from it.
Oh, how about going to Lloyd's of London Bank every week demanding reparations for our family?
Every week from the age 10, I would go and demand reparations for my family. So don't think that you don't have you are not able to do something. And everyone has a mouth. This is your most powerful weapon next to your brain.
Your mouth.
So your mouth.
That's right.
Okay, there's a question.
Oh, okay, we have a question here.
It
Yes.
says, from Sister Soyinka, I'm curious about your thoughts on redistribution of power, money, and time, encouraging those that have to redistribute.
Well, ironically, because people who are not white generally are victimized by racism, and people who are Caucasian, whether they like it or not, benefit from racism. But ironically, while that may happen, while there may be some level of financial benefit, or you get that job, how many white people are living in fear, thinking, what's going to happen when people find out? Or I noticed that there are a lot of people who think that blacks are going to just all of a sudden jump up and start killing people.
Right.
That's not our culture.
That's not
crazy.
what we do.
That's not our culture. Okay, remember when Dylan Walsh walked into the church full of black people, and the black people just tried to share with him, and they tried to commune with him, and even when he jumped up and blew all those black people away, did black people run out and jump out and go kill people? That has never happened. Never. And it never will, because that's not our culture. So the reality is things are not going to get better as long as the minimum or less than 10% of the population controls 90% of all the resources. There will continue to be fear from that 10% because they don't want to give up all of the wealth that has been stolen from everyone else. Remember Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, "Capitalism, this is a system that takes necessities from the masses in order to give luxuries to a few." Yes, those few are going to be very upset. That's why the military budget is increasing. That's why militarism is increasing. They have no desire whatsoever to share. That's why there's so much poverty and homelessness. But it doesn't matter, because we are the 90%. And if you go back to the Occupy Wall Street movement, it was 1% against 99. We are the majority. And you never think about losing, and you never think about how upset the enemy may be, because when has racism ever been concerned about our feelings?
Hello, somebody.
Never. We just need to focus on being the truth, living the truth, respecting ourselves and respecting others. And in doing so, that will change the world.
Go ahead, Mommy.
A lot of times that we're asking all the wrong questions because the correct answers are right in front of us. And the answer is speak the truth, live the truth, be the truth. Don't let lies and elephants live around you. Call them out.
The elephants. Val Kai says, tell the truth. Our kids should be learning not only African and African American history, but Pan-African world history.
That's right. Totally.
Yes.
Because very few people know the history of the world, which is why I like to start my books with the history of the world.
It's there.
We don't know that. And a lot of the books, when I was teaching in the school system, I would have to tell my students, these people that you see in these books, even though they're painted white, this is all African culture. Ancient Greece, that's African culture. Ancient whatever. When you see the word ancient, that's generally a code word that means black.
Right.
We'll go into all of those in the conference. However, the truth is in front of us. All we have to do is acknowledge it, learn it, share it.
Kathy said, how old is Sassy Sassafras?
Hey, Sassy, come tell how old you are.
How old are you?
I am.
Wait, I can't see
Say
you.
it
Hold
real
on.
quick.
There you go, baby.
I am 8, about to be 9.
When is your birthday, Sassafras Rose?
July 13th.
This girl is going to be 9 in 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
Yes.
And she is learning about racism. So just think, when she grows up, if she goes into the field of economics, just think when she grows up, when she goes into the field of education, entertainment, she's learning about that now. Think how much greatness and good she will do on this planet.
Mhm.
Stop waiting until people are old and broken to try to fix them.
That's right.
Let's raise people to be wonderful, decent, respectful, honorable human beings from the beginning. We have to separate ourselves from racist, individualistic, materialistic culture that is America, and start acknowledging humanistic, compassionate culture. 2 different worlds. That's what we're talking about. We live in that other world. We need more people in that world that existed before racism was invented 500 years ago.
Yep. What is it? Charmel said, preach. Salem said to thank you for writing the book because she's reading it. And she said that when we saw her at church yesterday, she said it's helping her get through a class that she's in right now.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
Kathy said, Kahinde, you just better discipline on the side. LOL. Yeah, when I was my children. My children are running back and forth being loud and wrestling and such. Charmel says, where to buy? Where can she purchase the book?
Oh, good question.
We should actually
always
say that.
forget that.
So it's on Amazon.com. It's also on BarnesandNoble.com.
Yeah.
We will post the link in the comments
To both.
But as long as you go to either Amazon or Barnes and Noble, you can look up "Recognizing and Resolving the Roots of Racism."
$20.
Yeah, you'll find it. It's there.
And if you're in San Antonio, please go to the bookstore.
Organization of Black Unity.
Organization of Black Unity in San Antonio, Texas, who are doing phenomenal things in eliminating racism and all other forms of oppression on the planet. They have it there live. And then you can get it at Amazon and Barnes and Noble.
And we are working on making it available via a digital format.
We will.
So we'll get that.
Figure it out.
They'll
figure it
out. Yeah. In the next couple weeks, it will be available in a digital format. Right now, it's only available in print.
And eventually, we will have the, what is it called, an audio book?
Oh yeah, we'll have it available in an audiobook.
Oh,
version.
I
I can practice my mini accents
and
reading
guess
the
who-
audiobook.
And guess who's going to be reading that book?
Kahinde?
The
No. Okay. No.
The 9-year-old grandchildren, my grandson right around it somewhere.
The children
The
and-
teenage grandchildren, adults, just to let people know.
It's for everybody.
Include your family in your family. Okay? All ages. It's for all ages. The game that I am inventing now to heal racism, the game that I'm inventing now to sharpen people's math, geography, history, English, and skills to deal with racism, that game is for ages 2
to 92. 102.
to 102.
Yeah.
The minute you are in the womb, learning begins. Don't wait. Start now.
Charmel, who went to Burbank Elementary with us,
Whoop, whoop,
she
Burbank,
says,
whoop, whoop.
I miss Mom. I'll never forget 5th grade teaching of African American history. Yep, my mama went everywhere we
I
went. She
would
was
go
like,
to that
I'm
school.
the teacher. Right. Excuse
I
me,
would call
y'all.
the teacher and see, what are you teaching? Okay, I need to come and help you.
I just need to teach my children because I don't think. See, that's my Southern accent for you guys. You hear this? I can read it in my Cockney accent.
Oh my God! I can't believe
Hello,
you know. I can't believe you know the accent journal.
See?
Have fun making the world a better place.
That's right.
So we must be about time.
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Freeberg says, I just had an incident with a group of young men that got upset that I looked at them and just assumed I was racist because I'm white. How would you respond in the moment to something like that?
Okay, and you know, this is one of the things that I'm very disappointed with because of COVID-19, because one of our most disarming weapons is our smile.
Smiles.
Yeah.
You can't see each other's
Yeah.
mouths.
Yeah.
We can, I know, because I've had to go through a lot of people who I know are racist and want to kill me, but sometimes you can disarm a person with
a
your
smile.
smile.
Mhm.
And always speak.
Yeah.
We used to speak to people.
That's right. Common courtesy.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
That is so disarming. You have no idea. Because whatever that person is thinking, they're going to be shocked that you spoke to them. I learned from my mom, who grew up during the Depression. We spoke to everybody.
We speak to people.
And we spoke in the 60s. We all spoke to everybody. So I still to this day speak to people, and people are hi, okay, hi.
They don't know what to do.
They
They're
don't
so
know.
accustomed to people being rude and walking past and not
And
saying anything.
everyone has the program in their head, the stereotype that you're a criminal, you're a racist, you're that. White people look at me and they think I'm a racist. Hi, how are you? That idea just flew out their head.
Yep.
We have to be the humane people we are. Now, if we run across inhumane people, that's okay. We don't lose our humanity in the process. So we're all together on this.
Right.
We're all on this planet together. Come on. And Mother Nature, I love this about Mother Nature. When we can't get our act together, Mother Nature has to come along and show us how to be one human family with a hurricane, a tornado, an earthquake. Then we start responding like one
And working
human family.
together. Mm-hmm.
Do it every day. Do it all the time. We're one human family. Don't let racism divide and conquer us and make you think, well, you're black, you're white, you're mixed. What, like peanuts? What is that? Mixed? Oh my gosh. The insanity that racism has taught us is insane. You're either multicultural, multi-ethnic, mixed, please. That's like a mixed bag of nuts. And no more POC, people of color. Who does not have color?
Nobody's translucent in this piece.
Have you ever seen any glass people? Come on. We have got to think, use language that promotes humanity. Use expressions that promotes humanity. Use our brain to learn to respect one another. And when you come across people that don't disrespect, that do not respect you, no problem. You just continue respecting yourself.
You shake the dust off of your sandals like
That's
Jesus
what Jesus said. Jesus
and
said,
you keep it moving.
dust your sandals off, not your shoulders,
You
because back
shake
to your
the
sandals.
dust off your sandals and you keep it moving.
Yes.
But you don't lose your humanity.
Yeah, and then that person who was racist, you just taught them a whole new lesson. Because everything we do is teaching, whether we like it or not. Everything we say, everything we do, people are learning and they're watching. And what you do by speaking and saying hello, that's teaching a whole new lesson that people need to be ready to deal with. Let's do it. Keep
and that
doing
they
it.
shouldn't prejudge
Keep
other people.
speaking.
That's right.
Keep communicating. Keep talking. These are our human beings. Don't be afraid of the youth on the street. Speak to them. They want to say hello.
Those are our children.
They
Those are our
want
brothers
us
and
to
sisters.
see them as normal
human
human
beings.
beings. So as though we are all normal human beings. Don't buy into racism, sexism, ageism, classism, homophobia. Treat everyone with respect. And if that's hard, then the very least, don't disrespect anyone. At the very least. And it'll be a totally different world.
All right, so.
Right, sassafras?
Okay, so in the comments, you got to put the...
I will put the link for the book
And
for
that
the
organization.
represent.us.
Yes.
It's easy to sign up for something. You can do something from your home. They make it very simple.
And you can go to my website, Resolving Racism, and my daughter's fixing it because I don't know anything. I don't know how to do anything with it.
I'm working on it, you guys.
She put it up. I haven't touched it. It's been over a decade.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
So you may see it moving kind of slow.
We're working on it.
It's going to get there. And then you will be able to get the book through the website as well. But right now, Amazon,
Barnes and
Nobles, Organization of Black Unity in San Antonio, Texas. And of course, I have some, but we're not communicating with people because of the COVID-19. We're doing everything like this.
We will put it in the comments. Oh, wait. Perlita Serrano. If I may say, every time I'm asked what race I am, I respond with human. I know that's right.
I love it. That's
It
what
says,
I do. Human.
this answer
That's right.
completely disarms people.
That's
if
right.
you wanted to know my ethnicity, ask properly, and I'll let y'all know.
But see, people don't have the language.
And they
Yeah,
don't
they
know
don't know.
the difference.
They don't know the difference. People don't have the language
That's
to
why
actually
we
ask
need
the questions that they're trying to ask.
We need information
Yeah.
because we have been giving all the wrong language. We have a language that supports and reinforces our oppression. Got to get rid of that insane, psychotic language and learn the language of truth. Great
Somebody's
for that.
anniversary is
Human
on
being,
Sassy's
thank you.
birthday. Kathy. Is her wedding anniversary is on Sassy's birthday.
Aww.
Congratulations.
And Rachel said, I need a Taiwo in my life to help me with my technology issues.
Hey,
I'm like
she's
your
doing
mom.
mine right now.
All right, you guys, we'll put all that stuff in the comments. Hey,
will.
next week, we're doing this again next Monday. So if a lot happens in this world nowadays in a week. If you see anything that you have a question about, you can message either me or Taiwo directly.
Oh, nice.
And then we can answer.
And then we can answer
your
the
question if you have a
questions.
question
Yeah,
about something.
about
happening.
something
Yeah.
on next week's episode. Okay, y'all.
We
we
love you
finna
guys.
go. I gotta start cooking with my kids.
And I gotta go to the grocery store.
And keep making the world a better place. It's
Yes,
our
guys.
world,
Yeah.
the only one we have, the only chance we get.
I will, Sister Soyinka. I see the message. Okay. Bye, you guys. Have a wonderfully blessed day.
Have a blessed day. Goodbye. Thank you.